Hadameeps, I'm Rigaroga, and you're you. And I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're going to try to actually create characters for UVG, for Ultraviolet Grasslands. So let's go ahead and switch over to the desktop and take a look. Now, you may recall that the Ultraviolet Grasslands is this crazy, wild, heavy metal, like as in the magazine even, setting that was created by Luka Rejec, and I supported it in crowdfunding. It's available now, so you can go and check it out. There's a quick start, so you can try it out for free. And the setting includes a OSR kind of rule set called SEACAT, and I'm actually going to use that. So I'm going to try and create those characters. When I did the unboxing, I actually rolled on this D40 table to come up with a couple characters. And so I have these cards here that I had written down my results. And so I have a wine vampire priest who is traveling because they've had heard rumors of a fabulous autofac. And they start with a teal warlock helmet with 3 white stripes. And then I have a Seraphina merchant adventurer who is traveling because the soul of a loved one was stolen by a horror. And they have a quartzite. My God, I can't read my own writing. A quartzite tooth of a space worm. So totally a Chris knife from Dune. And the teal warlock helmet with 3 white stripes. God, I have an image in my head of something from like heavy metal magazine, like a Mebus Giraud kind of illustration that has that in it. Anyhow, so those were the things that I rolled. Now, I didn't create those characters. I threatened to create those characters in a subsequent stream or recording, and here we are. So let's go ahead and dive right in to see how that works. So it says no rules but SEACAT rules. If you're just reading for the weird world, that's great. Imagine a character and then do that. But UVG plays fast and loose, but there is a solid metal role-playing game skeleton behind the simple notation SEACAT. The name of the game comes from the basic stats describing characters: strength, endurance, agility, charisma, aura, and thought. And if you want to start making an explorer, building a caravan, and heading off into the wild and weird, go to Heroes of and the Cat on page 133. So we're going to skip over to 133. So we've decided to see what the SEACAT under the UVG is all about. Come inside, the show's about to start. Do you take your money or you take your chances? We're going to see how SEACAT works, and we're going to see that together. How characters are made and how to run a caravan through the Ultraviolet Grasslands. I may not run the caravan, but we may create the caravan. So the first question is, who are you? There are 2 types of player in this game: the heroes gallivanting around UVG and their cat who runs the show. I am, of course, a cat in the guise of a hero. I'm doing this solo, so I'm going to be doing all of the roles. Players run protagonists through the game. Sometimes a story emerges. Their main imaginary characters are called heroes. Heroes are out for adventure, loot, and revolution, but don't assume that they're good. Heroes are not good. They're excessive and over the top. Over the top is good. Players can swap out or replace heroes from session to session, and heroes can die, retire, leave, or just take a vacation for a while. Use hero sheets to record their attributes. And I've got a couple of those on the table ready to go. The cat, aka the game runner. And this is in Luka's voice, I've been running role-playing game sessions and campaigns for decades, and if you've ever tried your hand at it, you know that terms like dungeon master or game master are misleading. You're no master, maybe a game runner or a referee, but even more than that, you're the member of a band that gets the evening organized, prepares a few hooks, and sets the beat for the game. You're the bass player of the role playing group. You're cool, but you're coolest when you make everyone play and shine together. So the cat's table. What's your special referee title? Oh boy, let's roll. So let's see. We're gonna get a D12, and we're gonna get our special. Let's use a red one. Nope. 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 There's a red one. Okay, we're gonna roll a red one, and this is gonna be our special referee title. 10. I'm a prismatic lady. You can recolor UVG locations at random times. Roll D6. It's now monochrome. 2, the colors are dull. 3, it's all cool hues. 4, warm hues. 5, bright harmonious colors. Or 6, a riot of neon. Hope you enjoy being the runner cat. So I'm the prismatic lord, like a cat lord. And so I hope you enjoy being the prismatic lord, or whatever your title is. Now, let's figure out how you and the heroes are going to make this game work. It's an RPG, so this should be pretty hard. Okay, so we need to set up a... So I guess we're going to give myself a badge, and we'll remember that for next time. Okay, so the next thing, heroes, super basics. This page explains the basic ideas and concepts behind UVG, or actually SEACAT, I think, right? If you just want to make a hero, grab some polyhedral dice, make a copy of the hero sheet overleaf, and turn to page 136. So let's see. Basics are dice are not your master. Dice are part of a conversation. Well, the game is a conversation, and so I think we're going to probably be doing a lot of oracle stuff. I don't know. We're going to use the classical polyhedral dice. I do have the special UVG dice that use a special mechanic with the Roman numerals on it, but I don't have those yet, so we're not going to use those yet. High is good, low is bad. It's a stat test, D20 plus stat plus skill over target. And so there's a difficulty, and the difficulties range from trivial to extreme, trivial being 3, extreme being 19. Only use tests when they make sense. There's a thing called a relevant test, and that means that a hero can use any combination of stat and skill that makes narrative sense in the circumstance, which is kind of cool. That's kind of like using... stealth with strength instead of dexterity. You know what I mean? In 5e, so you can mix and match and figure them out. Overdefined tests. Some tests, particularly misfortune tests, have multiple fail and or success results, and ones fail, 20 succeed. So that's always kind of, if failure is impossible, a roll should never be required. Aha. Advantage and disadvantage, so rolling an extra die, okay, and that can be on any die, not just a d20. Boons and blessings can manifest mechanically as advantages so heroes can store up boons and blessings. Consecutive rolls, so you should roll, like if you get a 20/20 means you have to actually get those 2 rolls in sequence. Ooh. And it's meant to hint at like the 1800 strength from first edition. Exploding dice. So exploding dice are a thing. There's the 6 stats, the SEACAT stats, and there are learned skills, and there are abilities acquired through any means that are outside the human norm. So skills are learned things that you can do, and abilities are beyond what an ordinary human could acquire through simple theory and practice, meaning like psychic abilities or magic abilities, I suppose. Strict limits. Maximum level of a hero can reach is 9. Their maximum total bonus to any d20 is 13. Highest target number they can ever possess or set is 19, and this includes defense. And now we have, and I was not doing, I'm sorry, I was not showing you the thing. But anyhow, so here's the hero sheet. So I'll have the two that we're going to use for our main heroes. So this is what the hero, the UVG character sheet looks like. And you'll see that there's down at the bottom, there's the dots, and that's meant to be like you can write anything you want on your character, but it has to exist on the character sheet. So it's kind of like a little Tetris inventory puzzle kind of thing that you're going to go through as you create the character. So let's make a character. First, a caveat. The UVG doesn't contain a complete SEACAT game. Luka is publishing SEACAT related stuff to his blog, so if you're interested in that, check that out. It's in separate posts, and they're in an odd order, but I think he's going to eventually publish SEACAT separately. So on the sheet, this is an example sheet, so you can actually see where on this sheet where Conquers the horse is drawn on the actual player box. And so like if you have things like that, it's going to fill up your inventory. So there's a little section where you draw your hero, and then there's stats, experience points, skills, you have a pet, abilities, combat, heroics, end game death spiral stuff, then the inventory, and then a customization space where you can put more unexpected stuff. So we've got SEACAT. UVG plays with 6 stats: strength, and endurance, agility, charisma, aura, and thought. A stat of 0 is the minimum, 5 is the max, and they map to the ability modifiers of the bonuses of the stats of classical fantasy role-playing game. So strength is the active physical stat. Endurance is the passive physical stat. Agility is the dynamic physical stat. Charisma is the active mental stat. Aura is the passive mental stat, like soul, hero, spirit, and psyche. And thought is the dynamic mental stat, like how quickly you can manipulate information and stuff like that. Interesting. So we're going to generate our stats. Roll your stats with a d20. If you want to generate a stat with advantage, then you'll have to generate another stat with disadvantage. Fair is fair, after all. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and roll some d20s. And I have 60 20s here. Okay, so let's roll. Okay, 8, 10, 17, 18, 12, and 15. No, not 12. That is a 2. Oh my god. Okay, so shall we do those in order? And which one is this? Who are we doing first? We are doing our wine vampire priest first. Okay, so 8 maps to 0. You're close to the human mean. Endurance is a 10. That's still a 0. Agility is a 17. That is really quite good. A 2. Charisma is an 18. Excellent. The best you can get with a point buy. 3. And then 0 and 2. Our aura is 0, and our thought is 2. Really quite good. So for a priest, our aura is pretty low. Oh, well. Whatever. It's all good. Or you can do a point buy with 7. So we actually got 7 points out of that as far as a point buy. So that's pretty good. The stat damage. In UVG, you'll notice that many of the danger damage the hero's stats, from starvation to disease to monsters. If the text simply says something like lose strength, remove 1 point from strength. If the text says a stat is severely reduced, remove 2 to 4 as a 1d4 plus 1, and reduced to a minimum means the stat is now 0. So on the character sheet, there's the stats, and then next to it is it's like a full box and then a current box. So that's actually our damage. That's really interesting. All stat damage is temporary unless otherwise specified, or a character dies, in which case, yeah, it's permanent. Stats are one of the key attributes, along with life. The heroes recover by resting. Oh, so there is actually a separate life remaining. Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's so your stats can fatigue as well as having your character get life damage. Very interesting. Stat damage suffered when your stat is already at 0 causes a fatigue. Interesting, okay. Sacrifice. Heroes can sacrifice something of value at any point to gain an advantage, so long as it makes narrative sense. Exactly how big an advantage results is up to the players and the referee. A standard sacrifice might be 10 life or 1 stat point for an advantage. Okay? Now, there's a thing in UVG, and this next thing, Hakaba, like the Egyptian souls, a few of them anyway. Body is the Ha, soul is the Ka, and personality is the Ba. And they form the existential trinity of every creature in the UVG. In game terms, body maps to endurance, soul maps to aura, and personality maps to charisma. And this makes raising the dead and reincarnation in the UVG weird. And there's details about that later. So now skills. Each hero has a pre-existing natural aptitude represented by 6 SEACAT stats, which is different from learned skills represented by an inchoate series of descriptive skills which vary from setting to setting and over time within a campaign. There's no mechanical or terminological difference between what other games call proficiencies, tools, and saves. They're all just skills. Heroes start with 3 skills and gain more as they level up, study, or initiate memory transfers or other hyper magitech oddities. When a skill applies to a test, add the hero's bonus or double their bonus for experts. Skills can range from sleight of hand, melee combat, history, carpentry, project managing, bricklaying, neurosurgery, or golem whispering. Players and referees are encouraged to make up their own and use them following common sense and dialogue. Any skill or profession that sounds fun and the rest of the players also find at least mildly amusing is fair game. Skills are one of the simpler ways to distinguish one game table and campaign from another. Skills define what a hero is good at. Anyone can use a first aid kit, dive to cover from a Braggon's Dreth weapon, or say they know some history, but a skilled hero is actually good at it. Any character can attempt any task, even if they don't have a relevant skill, but they make their rolls with disadvantage and without adding a skill score to their roll. For example, a Saphragian paintball star can try to decipher the glyphs on a Black City pseudolith, or a cat wizard can try to fire a laser rifle with one of those cute paws, but they roll with disadvantage because they're not very good at it. Perfect match. Optionally, when a very specific skill is perfectly suited to a test, the hero may roll with advantage because of their specialty. This likely won't apply to very broad skills like history or close combat, but might well come into play with something like Redland wine cultivation or Steplander Vec piloting. As with every aspect of role-playing, it's a social activity, so communicate with others, with each other, and be willing to compromise. Expertise. If a hero takes a skill twice, they count as an expert and apply double their bonus every time they make a test with this skill. This is the route to take if you want to make a combat-focused character, for example. To gain new skills, heroes must visit different locations and mentors. At the end of each week of study, they make a moderate thought test. Each location or mentor can only provide 1 success. After achieving 4 successes, the hero gains their new skill. Simpler or more difficult skills are possible. It's really interesting. So having to visit different locations is kind of like in Legend of the Avatar, The Last Airbender, you know, how Aang has to travel to all the different temples in order to learn all the different skills. Players can invent new skills they want their heroes to learn based on their experiences within UVG, and the referee may then pepper random sites and non-player characters as potential mentors around the steppe, creating an instant personalized quest. Cool beans. That's really cool. So now we have the possible skills. So we're supposed to start with 3 of them, and this is a D40. How the freak do I do D40s? So we're going to roll a D40, and we're going to do... So our first skill is even, so it's a 6, is chemistry. And our next skill... odd, so it's 35, is storytelling. And our third skill Odd, so that's 30. Puppet theater. Interesting. I'm getting like a what was that movie about the monkey puppet guy? What the hell? Wow, I don't even know. Okay, so let's see. I don't know how to write wine vampire priest, but we've got anyhow, so this is our wine vampire priest. And so he's got chemistry, storytelling, and puppet theater. Okay, so I've skipped ahead to inventory and sacks, and what I'm going to do, there isn't really a thing for starting stuff. And so, as far as I can tell, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start out with a D100 roll. And I'm going to give them that amount of cash to start with. So this is the wine priest, and they're going to start out with 18. So we're going to start with 50 cash for the wine vampire priest. So we're going to go back and we're going to start this with our Safranian merchant adventurer. So we're going to generate our stats for this character as well. So we're going to get our 60/20s out. So 13 is 1, 0, 18 is 3 agility. Charisma is 15, so that's a 2. And aura is 0, and thought is 0. Okay, that's 6, so we'll go with that. So let's go then to take a look at our skills. So our first skill for our Safranian merchant adventurer is 22. Necromancy. Sweet. Okay. And 10. Crystal healing. Use placebo effects to your advantage. Focus magics. Ha! Yeah, so I actually read that because I wasn't sure whether I healed crystals or I used crystals to heal. So here's our third skill. So that is odd, so that's 36. Surgery. Wow, interesting. So that's 2 healing things I've got. Medicine with a focus on knives and sewing needles. Interesting. And then necromancy. Oh man, we got kind of a Dr. Frankenstein here a little bit. Very interesting. So I can do surgery and crystal healing, but I can also talk to dead and maybe do some necromantic stuff. Very, very interesting. And you know what's interesting also is that fits in with soul of a loved one stolen by a horror. Was it our horror or someone else's? Some necromantic horror of some kind. And that quartzite tooth of a space worm is probably our tool. Oh man, is that a surgery tool? Yeah, it's our scalpel. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and I was going to roll on the, there we go, our inventory. So it's going to be a D100. And that is 62, which is valuable. So our merchant is going to start out with 250 cash. And then we're going to start with our caravan. The caravan is the group character for the players, a joint mobile base of operations. And this is what the sheet looks like. There's all kinds of stuff on here that I don't... and there's seasonal stuff and years elapsed and day tally and week tally, time, and all kinds of wacky stuff in here. Okay, so money on that sheet is outfitting a caravan is expensive. Heroes with a caravan start the game with a loan from a financer. Oh, well, there it is right there. 1d20 times 500 with 100% annual interest makes things interesting. So let's go ahead and do 1d20. 4. So that's 2,000 money, ready cash. And our financier let's go to page 160. Okay, so this is our financier, and it's going to be a D100. So that's 78. Wow. Okay. So our financer is a sculptor, whose name is Plania Velizzi. Plania per Velizzi. And their story is scared and angry, confused about how to break the cycle of pain. Oh, interesting. And let's do our color. 68. Annoyance. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Let me just really quickly show you. So I've written this down on a Post-it. And so we have that as a NPC that we're going to figure out at some point. And that's our financier, who gave us 2,000 cash. And they're scared and angry and confused about how to break the cycle of pain, and they're annoyed. It's very interesting. Doesn't really fit necessarily with the wine vampire priest, but it does. That Safranian merchant adventurer is really turning out to be somebody interesting. Okay, so let's go back to our caravans, and we're going to figure out a little bit more. So let's see. That was our financier, our patron. A logo. We need a cheesy logo. Okay, I don't know that yet, but we'll figure it out. Assets, we can track investments and trade routes and other shenanigans, and we can use the table to generate returns on our assets. Time, besides money, is the other key constraint on caravans. Travel is nearly impossible in winter, and the heat is oppressive in summer. Have players give each year a memorable name. And the speed, fast, fresh horses and slow tags, heavy wagons cancel each other out, and the speed score represents additional tallies added to the time track, or tallies from misfortune and exploration negated, being faster is useful when a chase takes place. Okay. Power and caravan combat. Okay, that's something else. Traveling the back roads. If a caravan travels slowly and cautiously, they tally extra time. Mouths, mounts, motors, and magicals. Different mobile members of the caravan. Mouths are creatures that need a sack of supply each week to survive, like humans. Mounts are creatures that can subsist by grazing and foraging, like horses. Motors are vehicles that need fuel supplies each week to move, like auto golems. And magicals or mechanomagicals are creatures, characters, or vehicles that need no supplies, like undead. I am a necromancer. Okay. Sounds like we might use something undead for our mobile, some sort of construct. And then there are the heroes as part of the caravan, and common roles such as expedition leader, navigator, captain of the guards, chief negotiator, mechanic, or animal handler and doctor. And then there's helpers, which are extra characters, so if we need those. And then the size of the caravan sums all of the mobiles in the caravan. Larger caravans are harder to hide. Also, how well it handles raids, and how it can absorb losses before collapsing. So here are some sample caravans. Like, for example, a poor prospector, cost is 196 cash, capacity of 4 sacks. It's 2 mule transports. Inventory, 3 sacks of cheap rations, 1 sack of prospector's kit. Speed is normal, visibility is 3. Do we have something with undead? I mean, there are definitely some interesting variations. And then this is our big map. So we're going to start somewhere along here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 thingies. So let's see. Let's roll a d6 to see where we start. So we're going to start at the ruins of Azir. We'll call that our home base for some reason. It's the ruins of Azir. Okay. So I think there's a lot of crap I have to figure out. Let's see. We've got 2,000 plus our extra So we could afford actually a warband if we wanted to start out. Dungeon exploration expedition. Vampire wines. Okay, so look at the sample caravans. There's one called the Dungeon Exploration Expedition, and it costs 1,700 cash. It's slow. Visibility is 8. It has a capacity of 20 sacks. The transport is 5 mules, 1 wagon, 1 horse. And the current inventory is 15 sacks of good rations, 1 sack of fortified vampire wines with a trade value of 100 cash, 3 sacks adventure kitchen, dungeoneer's kit, and excavator's kit, and 1 rider. With lots of capacity and a wagon, this caravan can drag large statues, pieces of machinery, or a small mountain of coin out of a dungeon. Additional warriors recommended. That I'm going to start out with that caravan. I'll subtract that from our money. But that's what we're going to have, and that's probably why we're at the ruins of Azure, is that we're there to try and delve and see if we can get some stuff. So that'll be our first quest, I think. Is we've arrived at or we'll head to the ruins of Azure, and we're trying to get some stuff, and it's the Safranian merchant adventurer and the wine vampire priest. And so I think that's our character generation. So I have the 2 main characters, and I have a caravan all sort of ready to go, and I'll stat those off screen and think about if there's anything else like starting equipment and stuff like that I'll get for the 2 people, and then go from there. So I've got my title, I've got my 2 characters, I've got a caravan, we've got our financier, so maybe we'll come up with a backstory for that. Yeah, okay, cool. That's character generation for UVG using SEACAT. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time when hopefully we'll start an adventure. Thanks.